And welcome in. Thank you for your patience. We were supposed to kick off about 15 minutes ago. I had some issues with the setup. So if you were expecting us a little bit earlier, apologies, but also what are we doing anyway on a Saturday afternoon? I actually had a crazy story. The reason partly it took so long is because I live, down south in the US, and there was like a lizard, I think it was a gecko technically, that was running through my apartment. So I just got back from the pool and I went to put my towel out because it was kind of wet. I put it on the balcony to dry. As I closed the door, I saw in my living room like a gecko running across the floor. I was like so confused, obviously. And so I had to get I got like a Solo cup and a envelope, and I tried to like scoop it into the cup to like put it outside. And I think part of it honestly is because I just renewed my car insurance the other day, and it was for Progressive. So I just paid for like 6 months of car insurance up front. And I have a decent car too, but love Progressive. They're a pretty good company. They were just the best at the time when I took it out. But I think the gecko was there to just understand maybe why I didn't choose Geico. Maybe it was like a representative on behalf of, Gordon, just because they want to keep their business. They're a really strong company and everything. So I think the gecko was there just, as an outreach. I think my mic's connected. That was my mic test. Hopefully that wasn't too corny for you guys. Well, welcome back to episode 26 of the Ascended Podcast. As you guys know, Caleb Schulke here multiple times a week. I was here with Anthony, I think the last time. No, actually, last time I was by myself, and Anthony was before that. And again, as I've said, guys, I talked about the script from last time, and I'm just looking over it right now. But I wanted to go over it and talk about some more serious issues. I know this wasn't the most serious start, and I briefed this podcast. I was gonna actually do this on the last episode, but we decided to push back just because we didn't have a lot of time. And Anthony and I last night, if you guys go on X or if you go on Rumble, you can see our stream where we were just talking through site updates and everything. So you guys can watch us build Altura in real time, figure out what we're doing, how we're marketing, how we're scaling everything. And you can be part of the movement, guys. This is the founding fathers inviting you into the Philadelphia town hall meetings where they were figuring out what was going to go into the United States Constitution back in the day. But this is for Altura. This is the next movement. This is the digital democracy for entrepreneurs. And I would love for you guys to be part of that. And I appreciate you guys just being here. What's up, Jacqueline? I see you're watching. I appreciate you being in here. What's up, Prince? What's up, Matthew? What's up, Samantha? I'm just calling out names from all the different platforms around right now. So I'm trying to check like 6 different streams. I think I have a unified comment section on here I can bring up, but I'm not going to do all that right now. I wanted to say otherwise. I just hope everyone's having a good weekend. I know it's been rough for a lot of us. I know it's been difficult just economically, and it's been hard to figure out how to survive. So when you're watching podcasts like this, notes aside real quick, navigating life is always difficult. The younger you are, the more challenges you face because you have the least knowledge in your playbook to manage things, right? If you're 50 years old, you've seen 2008, right? The real estate crash and bubble, especially in the US, which probably affected the rest of the world significantly too. If you were around for Bitcoin's launch versus if you were born in 2015, right, and being 10 years old, you're not going to know the potential of a new asset coming on the market. Like the older you are, the more experience you have. A lot of us though are probably between 18 and 35 watching this. Most of you guys are pretty young. And so we have to work together. Because whether that's networking with people who do have the information or just sharing what we already have, going at the economy, going at navigating modern day problems by yourself is just not a viable solution. And a lot of people turn to AI. A lot of people turn to the internet to get their answers. The internet's a great source of information. AI is a great source of information. But in order to survive, just like any other time in human history, you have to come together. You have to be humble enough to admit that someone else knows something you don't, and you can look stupid asking them a question to help make your life better. It's not that you're cashing in. It's not that you're looking ignorant. It's that you're coming to sources of knowledge, which could be me, and I'm just a source that collects information and presents it to you. But being humble enough to admit when you need more answers. I'm the same way. And so I hope to maybe give you guys some of those myself, and hopefully that means something to you. We've already talked about the kind of move for today's podcast. And I'm going to bring my notes up on screen just because maybe, while I'm yapping for the next couple minutes, I can actually print it off on my computer right here. I had like a software firmware update. I actually think that my new notes are running right now. So let's put these on. My printer is messed up. I'm pretty sure it's like jammed. Sorry, this is again, problems when you have geckos running across your apartment 5 minutes before you're supposed to start live, which is even better because now I get to freestyle for a couple minutes. So the paper's jammed. We talked about this last time. The benefit to working together to escape. So again, I'm not going to give you guys the whole TED Talk speech with all the annotated notes and breakdowns. This is going to be our Saturday podcast. So it's a little bit more informal. And I apologize for such a long intro, but this is personal. This is a story of collaborative success. Altura is. You might not have been part of our movement. You might not have been on the website. You might not even know what the hell I'm doing on this podcast or what you're doing on it. You might have found us by luck. You might have followed me from a funny video. It might have been whatever. And so you're choosing to give your time to something that may or may not matter to you. And my job is to show you why it does. Too many times in your life, I'm going to speak universally because I think this would apply to almost everyone here. Too many times in our lives, we're faced with a challenge. A lot of times it's bills to pay. A lot of times it's figuring out, if we want to go to school, join a career, which friends we want to hang out with, if this friend's better or worse for us, if we want to date, is this partner better or worse than us? And you're in this dialogue state, but too many times it's an inner dialogue, not an external dialogue. Your brain is saying to your body, hey, based on all the knowledge I know about my life, there's two paths we can choose. I can either choose to accept my gut instinct, right, which is whatever your brain subconsciously is telling you is the right move. Typically, that's the best because it's based on your experience, and you might not know why you're choosing for or against something, but you can justify it by saying this feeling, which is just your subconscious mind, is telling me that I should stay away from this or I should go for it. And if you trust your gut, I would honestly say, especially as you get older, 90% of the time you're going to be right because you have more knowledge stored in that database and you don't know why you're making the decisions. But if you know that it's your subconscious, you can kind of trust it. If you're younger, if you're newer to the world, if you're trying to start a business, if you're trying to do a side hustle, maybe you want to become a music artist, right? Or a podcast creator. There's a lot of things you don't know. You're stepping into an industry that's brand new. So you see the logic error here? For once, right? When you're in this industry, you're going from a point of, I know everything that I've known about how to make new friends. I know everything about how to date people. Now I'm getting into podcast creation. That is a completely different skill set than what my brain and what my body has lived through. I don't know how to navigate this space. It's uncharted territory. You're going Lewis and Clark mode it's scary because the gut feeling is really the only thing you have left. But I'll also tell you, in that instance, your gut instinct is very unreliable. And so too many people step into a new space just trusting their gut with not a lot of other information to go to back their journey. You know what I'm saying, right? So you're basically just gut checking everything you're doing. Too many of us have to move so fast when we're trying something new. I want to give a solid example. Let's say you're just making a secondary Instagram account because you want to start a baking page, right? Anthony, if you're watching this, I know your wife is like a food account or something. So just the first example I thought of, that's like some random example. But let's say your wife, Anthony, she's just like, I want to start this Instagram page. I want to get into this content creation, whatever it is. She doesn't know like, okay, what types of videos do well? Okay, what types of recipes should I put online? What types of anecdotes should I share about how to prepare the meals? Should I do like Gordon Ramsay? Right? Should I do like Rachel Ray? I don't know how my personality fits into that. So what you do, right, what 99% of us do is they go on Instagram, we'll go on our Reels, we'll go on our Explore page, and we'll just start looking at what other accounts are doing. We'll actually look at what Rachel Ray is posting. She's going through a lot of stuff I know personally. I've seen the news on it. I don't know. She used to be like the person that I'd see when I was a kid on the TV. But you watch somebody and you figure out, do I like their style? Does this work for them? Is it going to work for me too? And you try it. If I had a script right now, what I'd be reading off is the actual research, and my paper or my printer is still jammed, so I'm not going to do that. Speak without it. You have to gather feedback from the external world. And when the external world is too difficult to gather feedback from, or we don't know if we can rely on the feedback, too many of us stall out. It's because your brain, right, is risk averse. Your brain is going to find the easier thing to latch onto, which is keeping you safe versus finding a way to take on more risk or go through the storm instead of going around the storm. Does that make sense? You're always going to look for a way out most of the time because your brain wants to keep you safe rather than going into danger. The fight versus flight response is mostly geared toward flight. And if you are a fighter, it typically actually means that you're out of the ordinary. Something is actually kind of wrong with you because you're not going for survival first. The only times we choose to fight in the environment or stand up to a challenge is when we feel like we're so competent and capable of solving it, it doesn't even beg the question of if we should run. Most of us aren't in that minority. The only way to be in that minority is to have such a grasp of the skill set we're going for that we don't even have to consider it a challenge in the first place, like I just said. And the only way to do that in an industry that's brand new to you, right, Anthony, right? Like for maybe your wife that was creating like food videos and cooking videos and stuff, baking videos, is having done it. And she hadn't done it enough. Right? So problem is nothing worth doing, right? That we have this idea for, like we don't do things that we've done before. Like when we're trying to start a business, We're always testing. We're always exploring new ideas. And I don't have the right words to say this. I would on the script, but I'm not using the script today. Innovation and experimentation, the R&D phase, is where we learn the most about where we're going. And we learn the most about ourselves too. If you choose to take the flight response, it's probably because you're doing something you're unfamiliar with, which actually means you're probably on the right path. I came full circle, but hopefully you guys understand that. I'm gonna say it one more time, but clear. If you're running from your problems, it typically means you're doing the right thing. But the real thing I need to clarify is don't actually run. You should be feeling like you should run, but don't actually run. The feeling of, hey, this feels wrong, I don't know what I'm doing, I should give up, is the exact feeling, therefore. It's the flight response. That means that you're stepping into uncharted territory and your brain is biologically wired to keep you safe. That's perfect because it means that you're truly actually doing something new. And if you want to change your life, you have to do things that you're not currently doing, hence change. To be the 1% that's out of the ordinary, to be extraordinary, you have to do things that are not in the ordinary, which means your whole life needs to be based on taking educated risks. You understand starting a baking channel, Anthony, isn't gonna end your wife's like whole life and career. It's not gonna, botch over on her if it completely flops. So it's a good risk to take. And she's gonna feel when she's starting it that it's uncomfortable to put herself out there like that and to make the videos and to show her face and to feel awkward speaking. Those are the exact risks we need to learn how to take to put ourselves in better positions in life. Point proven? Point understood? Are we good? Do you guys have any questions on that? Okay, I'm moving forward because I'm building off this point now. So if the only things good in life that come to us are from taking risks that we know we're taking, how do we succeed more often? If our only chance of success is based on risk, how do we manage the risk, right? You hear that saying a lot. It's not about avoiding risk, it's about managing the risk. If you're a fund manager, if you're a hedge fund manager on Wall Street, dealing with millions or billions of dollars in a portfolio. So the question becomes not how do I avoid taking risk, because stock market risk is the only way to make money. It's how do I manage it so I can control when I lose and how much I lose. Set stop loss limits, set execution windows, things like that to allow yourself to win most of the time, because we can never control it 100%. Okay, so how do you learn those frameworks to control a stock trade from going sour? Somebody else has to teach me that strategy. I'm not going to develop, back test, and implement my own creative method every single time I step into an industry. I'm not gonna say I'm gonna be a stock trader and say, well, let me spend 20 years analyzing stocks and then I'll come up with my own strategy and then I'll start winning. No, nobody does that. Everyone goes into stock trading and is like, well, first of all, hopefully you're not buying TJR's course, because it's like he's just making more money off you than he is trading anyway. It's a pyramid scheme. But you guys are like finding creators, taking their course content and learning their strategies, which come from a lot of times what they've learned from their mentors, what their mentors have learned from their mentors, etc. Okay, so you're getting passed down information that's been proven, tested over years. That's the other key point I want to make here. If you haven't been listening, pay attention right now to this sentence. When you pay for a course, when you pay for a mentor, you're not paying for somebody to hold your hand. You're not paying for the oversight, right? You're paying for the knowledge. College, you're paying for knowledge, which is why most people say college is a scam nowadays. Because you don't need to go to college to get the knowledge. You go to college to get the accreditation of having went to a university. But now people are arguing, is the accreditation of a university worth it? You guys know I went to the United States Air Force Academy, one of the most credible universities in the entire country. I think it's the #2 public school in the United States. It's very hard to get into. It's a single-digit acceptance rate. The accreditation of going to the school, in my opinion, is more important than the education. I learned most of the stuff I learned in my major online and from being an entrepreneur. But the connections, the name recognition, I had to pay for that. Okay, so universities were now brand names. We're associating ourselves with branding. That's what marketing is. You're making yourself more marketable to the job market by attaching a university's name on top of yours. That's what happens when, let's say, Nike collabs with LeBron James. Nike and LeBron James are two big brands. They're coming together to associate their names together. Okay, so the partnership is more important than the actual product that they're selling. And that's what they go for. Universities aside, right? Why do you go to a mentor now? Well, I don't necessarily need to tell people who my mentor was. My coaching clients aren't name dropping me unless I'm doing a really great job, which I've done before, and they've certainly referred people to me, but that's not why they choose me as a coach. I'm not trying to like butter my own bread. Just pretend it's any other thing. Why would you go to your personal trainer? Not because of the name recognition, but because they have knowledge that would otherwise take you years, if not decades, to learn yourself. My piano teacher, when I was a kid, I could have figured out how to play the piano myself, but the time and effort it would take to get the knowledge would have cost me way more money and way more time out of my life, which is the only asset I can't control, versus paying somebody who already had that. Okay, so you're making things more efficient by coming together. So that's the principle that backs everything Altura does. And honestly, everything you're ever doing with your life. Most of us think it's about money. It's not. It's about time. And when you can control the rate of learning and the rate of speed of performance versus how much money it's making, that's always going to be more valuable to you because you only get X amount of years. Most of us don't even know if we're going to wake up tomorrow. That's just life. So you're controlling for time, not money. Understand that rule, and you will start to think and act like the 1%. Ask yourself the question, how much time am I saving going this route? How it works, right, is there's 3 types of freedom. I know I'm skipping around a lot, but I promise in about 3 or 4 minutes, this is all going to connect, and you're going to say, damn. There's 3 types of freedom: financial freedom, time freedom, and location freedom. How it works is most people focus on financial freedom first. I'm trying to talk a little slower than I usually do so you guys can stay with me. Most people focus on financial freedom first. You start a side hustle. You guys work countless hours to make sure that side hustle, maybe a coaching business, maybe a course, whatever it is, takes off. Let's say you're making $20K a month with it. Okay, that's financial freedom. You take that money and you quit your job. Why do you quit your job? Because you're buying back your time freedom, which is the next freedom. Location can kind of come at any point. Just depends on whether or not once you quit your job, you choose to stay in that spot or not. That's kind of, I don't really consider that one of the primary decisions. It usually alternates more between time and financial freedom. Okay, so you quit your job, but you're doing it to buy back your time, which then creates more financial freedom. Location plays in really only because the rich people don't think in terms of citizenship or country origins. They can go to whatever country they want whenever. Rich people just swipe their passport and go where they want. When you hit a certain amount of income, location freedom is just implied. Okay, does that make sense? So how does this all connect? Let's go back to the earlier statement. Why do I need a mentor? Because to get to financial freedom, you need instructions. And to also get back to the time freedom, you need a way to take the financial freedom and optimize back. A mentor, right? Think of it like, I wish I could draw it out, right? Well, just look at my finger. I'm getting from point A, let's go this way, point A to point B faster, which is I'm making the money to set myself financially free with a business. Then I'm going back and I'm buying back my time freedom with the money I'm making. So it's kind of a loop, right? A mentor just speeds up the rate that you go through that cycle. A mentor lets you hit financial freedom quicker, and it helps you save time because you don't have to go look up the information to get financially free. Does that make sense? So if a mentor is the only thing that sets you free you can set yourself free by yourself. It's just going to take substantial time that most of us at the end of the day would say, damn, I shouldn't have save the money. So the only best investment right now for you to make is get the knowledge from a credible source. You don't have to pay money for that. ChatGPT is great, but the problem is ChatGPT can provide all the information on the world. It's a LLM, a language model essentially at the end of the day, but it can't take the knowledge and specifically know from real world experience how to apply that to your situation. It can tell you theoretically what might work, but it hasn't actually lived and gained the experience other than what it reads online to know that you're going to be successful. It doesn't know how it feels emotionally. It doesn't actually know what thoughts you're going to be thinking in your head. It can assume based on patterns, but it hasn't actually lived that experience. So it can't hold your hand like a mentor can and say, in real time, this is how we do this and this. Plus, ChatGPT AI still takes countless time. How much of that time that you use ChatGPT are you spending putting information into it to even let it know what you're trying to figure out in the first place? Uploading screenshots, using voice mode to even explain the background of what you're doing, typing out messaging to say, this is what my business even is, versus it just knowing. A mentor went through it with you from the start, and it's up to speed at all times. That's the power of a human being, guys. I shouldn't be having to say this, but 2025, here we are. I'm gonna take a step back because I want you to just take 10 seconds without me talking here to remember all the things I just went through, and I'll review it after. The main points, right? This is gonna be 3 sentences. To set yourself free in life, you need money and time. Location's great, but you don't need it. To get money and time faster, you need instructions. And the best way to get those instructions and to speed up the chance and time to win is with a mentor that you can actually trust and that knows your experience. All of what I've said relates into that statement. Where do you find a mentor then? Is the only logical question you should be asking then. Do you find somebody to coach you through this? I would say me, but I don't have the time to coach everybody. And I used to do that, right? I still do that. I have coaching clients right now. I just invoiced somebody today. That's my main business of what started Altura. I love helping entrepreneurs with their companies, but I'm not here to pitch any of my shit. I don't have time again. You guys need people that are also in the trenches. You don't necessarily need a mentor all the time. You need a partner. Somebody that's willing to say, you don't have to pay me. I'll do the business with you and we'll figure it out together. That's another way to avoid the mentor necessity. You can just find somebody else to work on the problems with you, which creates double the effort and problem solving ability versus just having somebody tell you it. All right. So that's technically another path to get there. It's just not as direct as someone saying, I've seen this before. This is how I would handle it. Okay. So either way, mentor or partners, you need people. You need real human beings. ChatGPT isn't going to get you there. I promise you. I've tried. I have literally tried. You go to alturasociety.com. I made Vision AI, which is like 90% of having a partner and an executive assistant all in one, and a mentor too. You can use it. It's completely free to try. Go to alturasociety.com. That's great. But you need human beings, which is why we didn't just stop there. We had to build a networking hub, a community, which some of you in Discord are inside of our community watching this right now. The only way to get where you need to be faster and with a greater chance of winning is people. And so let me ask you this question at the end of the day. For all of you guys who are trying to save $20, not, even join our platform or any of that stuff. If you only get, let's say 80 years, and maybe you're 20 years old already, you get 60 years left, probably 15 to 20 of those on the back end, you probably won't be building businesses, you'll be retired, whatever. So you get really 40 years left to make it happen. And you don't get to redo those 40 years. Everything you do from now needs to compound. You have to make it. This is the only chance you get. You are dead after this. Your life ends. You don't come back to earth. You don't do it again. And if you do, you won't remember anything from what you did. There's not very many people on earth right now that remember vivid details of their past life, if that is the case. So one shot. Are you going to take the only chance you have and when you're 80 years old say, I could have saved $50? That's enough. None of that's going to go through your head. You're going to say, I made a business that set my family free. I dedicated 10 years of my life to make a business that provided for 100. That's, I guarantee, the only thing you'll be saying. So why are you risking so much to save $20 a month? Not even $20, especially for our software, it's $15. Why are you wasting so much to save one, Chipotle bowl if that's what could have set you free? And this isn't supposed to be a sales page. I'm just referencing my example. Why are you not spending $20 for ChatGPT Plus, which can give you better information? Why are you not, if you can afford it, going out and finding a mentor? Why are you not going to networking events? Why are you sitting on your phone knowing that you only get one opportunity? Because your flight response is so strong that instead of going to work on your computer, you are giving into the fear response and you're folding in and saying, I'm going to make myself feel good from porn, from sugar, from Instagram. When I have a clear path that I already know I can trust, if I go out there and find somebody to help me walk it. I understand there's chemicals in your brain that are telling you to do this. Cortisol, stress, right? Cortisol is the biggest one. It freaks you out. And it's what is actually being pumped into your brain in those moments where you pick up your phone, you unlock it, you go to Instagram, and you start watching the reels. It's the scientific process of it. You guys need to master your body. And if you can't master your body from stopping porn, if you can't go to the gym when you're supposed to, if you can't control your diet, and Anthony, this is the fucking biggest plug for you. Getting fit is one of the first biggest steps because it's showing mastery over your body. And you need that to master your mind. If you can control when your body and how much your body emits that cortisol from getting stressed out when you're stepping into the new territory, you can control how willing you are to take on more risk. I want to talk about testosterone because testosterone is actually great. Most people don't understand how testosterone actually works. Testosterone makes you more likely to take on more risky behavior. Think about that. When you're at the gym, if you have testosterone, if you're taking tren, whatever, you're boosting your testosterone. What you're actually doing is allowing your body to take on a greater limit of pain because the risk to reward is greater. So you're willing to push yourself a little harder. Your body's constantly pushing itself harder, and you're willing to take on more risky behavior to get what you want, which is why testosterone, masculinity is attractive, especially to women, because they want a man who's willing to do what it takes to get the job done. And that's attractive. Same with, honestly, women in a lot of ways too. Getting what you want is attractive. And if you know you can make it happen, that's even better. Not all of us can control our testosterone. Can't take tren. We can't all just get on a cycle of gear. But what you can do is you can build the habits to take the resources you have and make sure you don't get worse. Look at my phone background. See what that says? Let me bring it back a little bit. It says forward or back. I don't know if you can see it great. Yeah, forward or back. I look at this all the time. Life is linear. And you either decide, am I taking myself forward or am I going back? If I want to masturbate today, if I want to watch porn, is that forward or back? If I want to go to the gym today, is that forward or back? If I have one more set of bicep curls, but I really want to go get dinner, is that forward or back? That's probably I don't have any tattoos, guys. I'm kind of a normie, but that's probably the first thing I'll get maybe on my forearm is forward or back. Because it just reminds you that sometimes you have to make sacrifices, but those sacrifices are going to amount to things that are greater in your life. Spending $150 or whatever we just spent today, Anthony, on this new DM tool that's going to automate. Anthony just shouted out, we're going to send like 15,000 marketing messages a month to people about Altura, just on X, Twitter alone. And I had to spend money for that. Just $150 to even get it set up. And that's a risk. That triggered my flight response because I'm like, I want money. The economy is already tough. I should be holding on to that money. It's scary. But I said, you know what? When I'm 80, I'll say those 15,000 messages, if I didn't send those, wouldn't have snowballed. They wouldn't have been pushing me forward. That money would have held me back. It would have lost value because of inflation. I would have been less able to take on more risk because my habits would have been as reinforced. And I would have led to less outcome in my life. Does that make sense? Is all of what I'm saying here making sense? Do you see the connection between flight to fight or fight to flight? Do you see the accreditation of universities versus the actual education and the fact that you can get education, you can speed up the time from other sources. And the only way to do that is with a human being who's actually lived that or somebody to help do it faster, which is a business partner. The only way to find those people, as we've said, is in a community like Altura or going to networking events or putting yourself out into the world and being a creator, a producer, a participant versus a consumer, a watcher, a scroller. It's forward or back. It's do or don't. And we've created a community. We've created a society, alturasociety.com, of doers. The infrastructure's there. Every time you invite somebody to our platform, you get points. Points will convert to a certain amount of cryptocurrency. You'll be airdropped when we launch it. If somebody purchases one of our plans, or they purchase a lifetime membership resellable NFT to be in our space forever, get access to everything, you get a commission. You get $50 minimum from that. You're getting rewarded for helping us grow. Every time you watch a video, our Academy course kits are going to be 3 to 4 videos, very grimy, grunty, tactical. They're not going to be pretty to watch. It's going to feel like a crappy Zoom call. But the point is, it's going to give you just enough to get out in the field and do. You're not going to consume. Iman Gaji sells Educate. It's Netflix mental masturbation of 40-minute videos talking about life stories and a bunch of bullshit that doesn't actually lead to you taking action. It feels good to sit back and open your chip bag and watch, but it's not $1,200 to lead you to value. Unlike our $250 for way more. I've shown why we're different. I've put myself out there. I've done consistently. And I'm not bragging here. I'm trying to show you guys that there's a different life. There's a different thread in the multiverse that I'm living right now, where I'm still sitting on the couch. I'm playing my 17th game of Fortnite today. I've had my second quart of ice cream. I'm fat, I'm lazy, and I haven't motivated myself to take action. And it's compounding negatively. The spiral is downward instead of one action which starts the uptrend. And all it takes is one decision. It's a decision to pay $15 to join Accelerate. It's a decision to join for free and use the free AI that I'm paying for out of pocket to give you guys the start, the mentorship through an AI which is replicating my thought process of how I would coach you to get off the ground. And it's forward or back. It's the decision that you make every day to look at the little things, the decision for dinner. Which of these is forward and which is back? The romantic partner. Is this girl good or bad? Is she forward or back? And it's not overthinking. It's not getting in your head when you step into a fear position. When you put yourself in the line of fire. Anthony, when your wife starts the cooking page and she says, you know what? I got this. That's forward. It's not back. And although it may all blow up in my face, although people may see it and I'll get embarrassed, you know what? They're embarrassed because they're back and I'm forward. Do that enough and you'll win in life. I'm Caleb Schulke. I don't have the script today. I probably missed a bunch of points, but you know what? I came out and I pushed us forward a little bit more. Click the link, join Altura Society, ALTURA society.com. Follow this page, it helps so much. And I'll be back next time a little more prepared, probably without a gecko in my place. You never know. And I'll see you inside the community to help you, and we'll build this together. I believe in that. Look at our website, the first digital democracy, not dictatorship, democracy of entrepreneurs. And have a great rest of your night. See you inside Discord. Take care.